In fact, your family has been actually one of the sources of your entrepreneurial inspiration. In Losing My Virginity, your autobiographical book, you actually tell about your mother, your family, even your uncle, who actually launched an initiative related to grass and how could people actually eat grass. But anyway, how important is it? That's a very amusing, I mean, and I recommend, that people actually read this book, and actually the forthcoming book that you're launching tomorrow, which is, again, the second piece of your autobiography, right? But how important is family for entrepreneurship? Given that, probably we have many different family business members here, I was wondering what sorts of advice would you give to those family members who are struggling to inspire their siblings with the entrepreneurship spirit?
Well, look, I've been very lucky. I've been with the same lady for 40 years. We still get on great together, and that's helped, keep the family together and all our friends together. And it's magical if you're lucky enough to have that great relationship. I think from a very early age, I realized the importance of delegation, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs are not good at delegating. They feel that they have to do everything themselves. But if you can sit back and spend a little bit of time trying to find somebody better than yourself to run your business, that frees you up to then think about new ideas. It frees you up to spend more time with your family, to bring up your children, to look after your body, and maybe come up with another idea where you can move your company forward into new areas. So from a very young age, I worked. When I set up a business, I then go back home and I'd work from home, and therefore I had my children running around me, and I suspect as a father I spent almost more time with my children than most people, despite the sort of fairly busy life that I've led. But I think the key thing is delegation. It doesn't matter whether you run a company, whether you manage a company, whether you are in charge of a department of a company. I mean, try to find someone better than yourself to run it on a day-to-day basis. And then you can think about the bigger picture and take the department or the company forward into exciting new areas, and not get bogged down with the minutiae of the day-to-day business.
Talking about your company, Virgin is currently a huge, diversified corporation comprising many different businesses. What is the dominant logic, apart from the name, which was actually, very original, but what is the dominant logic behind all those businesses? How do you decide to enter new sectors, new industries?
Well, I mean, from the very start, I never thought of myself as being an entrepreneur, and I still don't really think of myself as being an entrepreneur. So the first thing I did was to start a magazine to campaign against a very unjust war, which was the Vietnamese War. I was 15, 16 years old, I was at school, and we started a movement to try to get young people to help end the war. And I actually think that young people, the big marching on the streets, did actually bring an end to the war. I wish, before the Iraq War, that more people had come out to march against it. I think all wars, pretty well every single war is an unjust war. But ever since then, I've done things based on a feeling that there's a purpose behind what we do. There's a fun story. I was in the Virgin Islands one day. No, I wasn't. I was in Puerto Rico one day. I was trying to get to the Virgin Islands. I was 27 years old. I had a lovely girlfriend waiting for me in the Virgin Islands, and the American Airlines flight, I was told, was going to be cancelled. They didn't have enough passengers. And we had to come back the next day. Well, I was not going to wait till the next day. So I went to the back of the airport. I hired a plane. I borrowed a blackboard. I wrote one-way Virgin. I just put Virgin as a joke on the board. One way, $29 to the Virgin Islands. And I went to all the people who got bumped, and I filled up my first plane.
You're giving ideas, actually, to those who may be stranded, you know, in airports these days.
Yeah, this is the way. And then, you know, when I got to the Virgin Islands, obviously my girlfriend was happy I got there that night. And the next day I rang up Boeing and I said, have you got any second-hand 747s for sale? And they said, well, we do actually have one second-hand 747. Are you in the airline business? And I said, well, not really, but I sort of am. I mean, I started an airline yesterday. But I do have a record company. I have the Sex Pistols, I have the Rolling Stones, I have Janet Jackson. You know, I could feel that I was losing Boeing on the phone. And then they said, well, what's the name of your company? And I said, well, it's called Virgin. And there was a very long pause, and the guy said, well, we will send a salesman to see you. But with a name like Virgin, I mean, you've got to change the name because you know, everyone would assume that your airline won't go the whole way if it's called Virgin. So.
It's amazing. So I guess one of your advices would be not to be shy, seize the opportunity, be very brave whenever you find one of those chances, right?
Yeah, look, I think, you know, I have one of my books is called Screw It, Just Do It. And I have a screw it, just do it attitude. And if somebody comes to me with an idea, and I think it's a good idea, and I think it will shake up an industry and make a big, positive difference to people's lives, I get excited. I don't say, right, let's go and get the accountants to spend hours, looking at all the figures. Instinctively, if it's going to make a positive difference to other people's lives, you have a business, and then you have to make, you then have a market. And you just get on and do it, and you try to make sure more money comes in than goes out, and then you find an accountant, hopefully, to add up the figures at the end of the month, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I think as long as you're doing it for the right reasons, the chances are that it'll work more often than it won't. And as I've got older, I've just tried to make sure that we don't get involved in businesses unless they're going to make a real positive difference in the world. Life's too short just to run a business just to make money. So everything we do, we try to make sure is making a real purposeful difference.
Thank you.